Good evening. Welcome to California Today. I'm David Zhang. Here is a preview of some of today's top stories. A group of 5 tourists who went to see the Titanic wreckage is still missing. Time is now ticking as their search continues. One of Trump's former lawyers could be in danger of losing his license. Today was the first day of an 8-day-long trial. Today is President Biden's second day in the Bay Area. He spoke on the future of AI technology as he continues his 2024 presidential campaign. Time is ticking as the sub that took tourists to see the Titanic wreckage remains missing. 5 people were on board and 1 is a board trustee of a California-based company.
The vice chair of one of Pakistan's largest conglomerates is among those missing after a submersible carrying wealthy tourists to see the wreckage of the Titanic disappeared at sea. Shahzada Dawood is vice chair of Engro Corporation with investments in fertilizers, vehicle manufacturing, energy, and digital technologies. He is also a trustee of the California-based research institute, SETI. His son was also on board the missing sub. The adventurers left Sunday on a $250,000 trip to see the 1912 Titanic wreckage. But according to the U.S. Coast Guard, contact for the vessel, named Titan, was lost in a remote area in the Atlantic Ocean about an hour and 45 minutes later. It's not clear what condition the vessel is in. During a press briefing on Tuesday, the Coast Guard said they searched an area larger than the state of Connecticut, but they still haven't found anyone.
Search efforts have continued through last night and today. Today, the vessel Deep Energy, a 194-meter pipe-laying vessel, arrived on scene with underwater ROV capability. They have rendezvoused with the vessel Polar Prince and commenced an ROV dive at the last known of the position of the Titan and the approximate position of the Titanic wreck. That operation is currently ongoing.
The carbon fiber submersible, part of a mission by OceanGate Expeditions, also carried a pilot, a renowned British adventurer, and a Titanic expert.
I last spoke to Hamish right before his dive. He casually just wrote that he's on his way to the Titanic and he's waiting for the perfect weather window. And me, in an equally casual way, just answered, "Godspeed, Hamish," and left it at that because he's always exploring. And I didn't consider that this type of expedition would be as dangerous as it's turned out to be. I'm just hoping for good news. Every single second, every single minute feels like hours. And we're losing time and we're losing opportunity to find them alive.
The sub has a 4-day oxygen supply, and it's now day 3.
Additionally, a Canadian P-3 aircraft is currently conducting a 6-hour search of the area, and several C-130 aircraft and another P-3 are scheduled to fly this afternoon and this evening.
Experts say it will be a challenging rescue mission.
If it's on the surface, it'll be a normal sort of standard search and rescue, but it will be quite challenging to locate it because it won't be like a boat floating on the surface. As it's a submersible, it's neutrally buoyant. So the majority of it will actually be below the surface, just a small amount above the surface. So it'll be quite difficult to see from the air, and it's only about the size of a large transit van, so about 6 or 7 meters long. It's not a very big vessel.
If the vessel is on the ocean floor, the rescuers will face even greater obstacles.
The ocean floor is more rugged than it is on land, so it could be if it's in a canyon or a seamount, a sort of submarine mountain, if you like, that's going to be harder to find as well.
In a May 2021 court filing, OceanGate said the sub had an unparalleled safety feature that assesses the integrity of the hull throughout every dive. It is capable of diving 2.4 miles with a, quote, comfortable safety margin. The goal of OceanGate's expeditions has been chronicling the Titanic's deterioration as well as the underwater ecosystem that shipwrecks often spawn.
One prominent lawyer could have his license to practice law revoked. Hearings are underway in downtown Los Angeles, where the lawyer is facing a variety of allegations. Here's NTD's Christina Corona with more on the story.
The California State Bar has initiated proceedings to have former President Donald Trump's one-time attorney, John Eastman, disbarred due to advice he provided to Trump in connection with the 2020 presidential election. The State Bar alleges that following that election, Eastman was developing what they call a dubious legal strategy, which would have kept Trump in power following his election defeat. That strategy included disrupting the counting of the state electoral votes, as well as trying to get Mike Pence to stop the certification of Joe Biden's victory. Eastman is facing 11 disciplinary charges, which could result in him losing his license to practice law in California. The State Bar claims that Eastman violated California's Business and Professions Code by making false and misleading statements that constitute acts of, quote, moral turpitude, dishonesty, and corruption. In Eastman's defense, his attorney Randall A. Miller said that the State Bar's action, quote, is part of a nationwide effort to use the bar discipline process to penalize attorneys who oppose the current administration in the last presidential election. Americans of both political parties should be troubled by this politicization of our nation's state bars. It should be noted that the California State Bar is a regulatory agency and the only court system in the U.S. that is dedicated to attorney discipline. If the State Bar Court decides to disbar Eastman, it is the California Supreme Court that makes the final decision. Christina Corona, NTD News, Los Angeles.
Today was day one of what's expected to be an 8-day-long hearing, and please stay with us for updates on the progress and outcome of these proceedings. The president's son, Hunter Biden, is expected to plead guilty to several federal charges. Meanwhile, President Biden is in California's Bay Area for the second day to talk about AI technology and continue his 2024 presidential campaign. NTD's David Lamb reports.
President Biden landed in Silicon Valley yesterday and announced a $600 million national plan for climate issues. Today, he met with tech executives and people in the industry to discuss artificial intelligence, including how to seize its opportunity and manage its risks.
My administration is committed to safeguarding America's rights and safety, from protecting privacy to addressing bias and disinformation, to making sure AI systems are safe before they are released.
On Tuesday, President Biden was in San Francisco for his 2024 presidential campaign. He's also visiting several locations in the North Bay, including the cities of Kentfield and Larkspur. A White House official said Biden's summit include experts known for being outspoken on the impact of AI on jobs, children, bias and prejudice, and the risks posed by AI if it isn't properly regulated. And added that, quote, U.S. government agencies have ramped up their authorities to protect Americans from the risks posed by AI, including fraud and discrimination.
As I've said before, we'll see more technological change in the next 10 years than we've seen in the last 50 years, and maybe even beyond that.
Meanwhile, his 53-year-old son is planning to plead guilty to tax-related and gun charges, according to the Justice Department. Hunter Biden could face 2 years in prison for the tax charges and a pretrial diversion program for the gun charge, up to the discretion of the judge.
President, have you spoken to your son today?
I'm very proud of my son.
The White House said the Bidens, quote, love their son and support him as he continues to rebuild his life. According to the president's schedule, Biden has a campaign reception on Tuesday evening. In Santa Clara, California, David Lamb, NTD News.
Following federal guidelines and other states' restrictions, California is passing a bill to ban TikTok on state-owned devices. Local and state leaders have raised concern over the potential exportation by non-democratic governments for espionage.
SB 74, authored by State Senator Bill Dodd of Napa, is now waiting to be heard in the Assembly after unanimously passing the Senate on May 30th. The bill prohibits social media appliances to be downloaded or installed on state phones and other devices if the company behind the app is either owned or controlled by a country of concern. Since last December, the federal government has banned TikTok on all federal government-issued devices. This came after FBI Director Christopher Wray raised concerns about TikTok's potential exploitation by non-democratic governments for espionage. Following federal guidelines, 20 states have also implemented restrictions on the usage of such apps on government-controlled devices. Montana even imposed a complete ban, prohibiting people within the state from downloading TikTok through their phone app stores. Locally, Orange County and its city of Westminster also implemented a ban on TikTok on government-issued devices earlier this year. SB 74 will now be heard in the Assembly.
We'll take a short break right now, but here's a look at what we have for you when we come back. As the president speaks to tech industry experts on AI, so did NTD. The CEO of an AI voice company shares what's new in the industry and possible concerns people may have as the technology advances. And a rare jumping rat has been spotted in Northern California. A biologist shares with NTD what makes this rodent so special and rare. More on those stories coming up on California Today. Welcome back to California Today. I'm your host, David Zhang. Artificial intelligence and machine learning are the two hottest topics in the tech world right now. And one key component of AI technology is the ability for a computer system to interact with humans via voice and natural speech. NTD interviewed AI voice company Sapient X CEO David Colleen to learn more about where the cutting-edge AI technology is at the moment and concerns people may have.
Thank you for having me here today. It's great to be here to talk about this. Yeah, what we're working on, the underlying AI technologies started in 1965. The very first chatbot was way back then. The voice systems that we're using with our AIs started out with your family phone being able to book a flight or do simple things like making a reservation with your doctor. But we're way beyond that now. When we started Sapient X, our theory was the future of computing was just speaking naturally like you're talking to your best friend.
So tell us what this system does.
How about a root beer?
Do you want a small, medium, or large root beer?
Large, please.
Okay. That's a large fries, a large root beer, and a bacon burger for $12.47. Anything else?
You know, my wife says I'm getting a little fat. Would you take out the bacon burger?
Okay. That's a large fries, a large root beer, a burger, and a bacon burger for $16.96. Anything else?
Can I have a garden salad?
What dressing do you want on your salad? We have ranch, Thousand Island, French, or blue cheese.
Let's do blue cheese, please.
Okay. That's a large fries, a large root beer, a burger, a garden salad with blue cheese dressing, and a bacon burger for $21.95. Anything else?
That should do it. Thank you.
Right. That's actually one of the concerns people have about AI is will they eventually take away human jobs?
Well, Queenie is our first prototype system for the food market. We found that industry during COVID began to have a dramatic shortage of employees to do basic tasks like taking people's orders. And we found that our restaurant owner friends started coming to us and saying, David, 68% of our restaurants don't have enough staff. So for the first time, we have people in key industries coming to us asking for digital employees that can perform basic tasks, not to take jobs away from people, but to fill jobs that employers can't find enough labor to fill right now. So that's a great thing. We're not trying to be brain surgeons. We're trying to do the most basic things out there that people don't really want to do.
So basically with a unit like this, it has the capability to listen to human voice. And that brings up another concern people have is privacy. If you have this all over the place, restaurants, your home, will that become a security privacy concern? Because it understands what you're saying and it may be able to record and what you're saying, so you may not have that much privacy.
So this is a super important topic. We've been doing business in Europe for a long time, and they really led the U.S. in trying to make sure that AI systems were not collecting sensitive user data without asking permission of people. So we devised a system that doesn't collect that data. We never sell data to third parties, but the tech giants have always seen it a little differently. Mm-hmm. Things like Siri and Alexa only exist to collect sensitive user data. That's why they were built to begin with. And those companies that made those systems really need to wake up to the fact that times are changing and they soon will not be able to collect user data. Now, we're already seeing the ripples of that. Things like the Alexa skills have been shut down by Amazon. Google followed suit. So times are changing, and you're going to find these voice systems soon will start respecting your user privacy because we're demanding it.
And knowing what you know about AI voice, how hard or how easy it is to just take a sample of somebody's voice and then to come up with a version and construct another different sentences and to play on the phone and then can scam those seniors.
Well, so right now there are technologies that you can use to recreate your voice or a voice of somebody else. They're not great. The technologies that I have access to can do a lot better job. You have to assume that in time that the systems that can do that great job will be available to everybody. So what we need to do is start adding safeguards to the access and use of those tools. Now, those tools are going to be out there whether, no matter how many laws we pass. I think what we need to do is focus on making sure that people are using them ethically and not scamming people with these technologies.
Well, David, thank you so much for coming in today.
It was a lot of fun, David. Thank you so much for having me here. It's a wonderful topic to talk about. I appreciate you having me.
Sure. When this is everywhere, we'll bring you on again and talk more about how this is benefiting the world.
Are you kidding? Next time I'm sending her in my place.
A rare sighting of Santa Cruz kangaroo rat has been reported in Santa Clara County, California. A biologist tells NTD just how rare this hopping little creature is and why they're considered a keystone species. The Santa Cruz kangaroo rat is a special type that was only discovered in the Santa Cruz Mountains by an independent researcher as recent as in 2019. The latest sighting has the biological community very excited.
It is incredibly rare. They're very imperiled, and it was so fabulous to hear that they found a whole new population of them. It's just really a great thing. I've been very concerned about them because the only place they were known from was one single population in a place called Henry Coe State Park.
Kangaroo rat is a misnomer because biologically it is neither a kangaroo nor a rat, rather more closely related to gophers and chipmunks. You can tell by their large hind legs and hopping motions. If you're thinking about finding one and adopting it as a pet, think again. Kangaroo rats are listed by the California Department of Fish and Wildlife as a critically imperiled subspecies.
They're not really very good in a captive population situation. They need these really unique sandy soils where they dig burrows, and basically they're so rare.
Another notable feature of kangaroo rats is their fur-lined cheek pouches, which are used for storing food. And their ability to store seeds make them ideal species for the health of the ecosystem.
Actually store seeds by digging a little hole and putting the seeds in it and then covering up. We call that caching. Then they return later, and if they can find them, they can eat the seeds. But a lot of times they can't find them, and those caches actually sprout new plants and regenerate the vegetation.
There are only 23 species of kangaroo rats left in California. Next time, if you're lucky enough to spot one in the wild, don't forget to take pictures. Now let's check in with NTD's Carlos Reyes for our sports roundup.
This is your California Sports Roundup, and I'm Carlos Reyes.
Mike Yastrzemski launched a 3-run walk-off home run in the 10th inning to cap a San Francisco rally that produced a victory over visiting San Diego. The homer off Ray Kerr was the second long ball of the game for Yastrzemski, whose first was part of a comeback from an early 4-0 deficit as the Giants captured their 8th straight win. Yastrzemski finished with 3 hits, 3 runs, and 4 RBIs for the Giants, who pulled even by scoring twice in the 9th inning. Camilo Doval got the win. Juan Soto hit 2 home runs for the Padres. Giants 7, Padres 4. The San Jose Earthquakes and the Portland Timbers played to a scoreless draw on Saturday night at PayPal Park. The Quakes extend their home undefeated streak this season to 9 games, their best home start to a season since 2005. Star winger Cristian Espinosa shared his thoughts about his team's performance post-game.
We keep our goal in 0, so that's it's a good thing for us. We keep improving in the defensive part. Now I think we can do better things in the offensive part, so we had a couple of days to improve in that and go to Houston and try to take the 3 points.
San Jose featured a heavily rotated lineup due to national team call-ups, missing defenders Carlos Acapo and Miguel Trauco, and midfielders Carlos Grueso and Jamiro Montero. Goalkeeper Daniel made a goal line save in the 47th minute to keep the match 0-0. Neither side was able to break the deadlock, with both teams hitting the post on multiple occasions. The Earthquakes will now prepare for 2 matches next week, first traveling to face Houston Dynamo FC on Wednesday, June 21st. Folarin Balogun scored his first goal for the United States in its 2-0 win over Canada on Sunday in the CONCACAF Nations League final at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. First half goals from Chris Richards and Balogun put the U.S. on its way to a team record 3rd consecutive title in CONCACAF competitions following wins in the 2021 Nations League and Gold Cup. The U.S. was without Sergino Dest and Weston McKennie, both of whom were out for the match after picking up red cards in a fiery semifinal win over Mexico on Thursday. Interim coach BJ Callahan, still overseeing the team after Greg Berhalter was rehired last Friday, started Joe Scaly and Brendan Aronson in place of his 2 suspended players. Richards kept the momentum from Thursday going for the U.S. with an early goal, powering a header from Giovanni Reina's corner kick past Milan Borjan in the Canada goal in the 12th minute. The U.S. doubled its lead later in the first half with a classy finish from Balogun, who picked up a through ball from Reina after a giveaway from Canada and fired past Borjan from a tight angle to notch his first goal for the Americans since committing his international future to the team.
That is it for today's Sports Roundup. Thank you for watching. I'm Carlos Reyes.
Thanks, Carlos, and that's all we've got for you tonight. We would like you to join us again on California Today every weekday at 8 p.m. Make sure to check out our broadcasts at ntd.com/California-today. You can also find all of our top latest clips there, ready to share with friends and family. Send us a message on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Gunjing World, or through our email, california.today@ntd.com. I'm David Zhang. Have a wonderful evening.